This show is brought to you in part by viewers like you who joined a Patreon or become YouTube members. Thank you. And if you could, hit the like button and subscribe if you want more Browns-focused content.
Winners and losers from this preseason game, right? Because I think so far in the preseason, there have been some definitive winners and some definitive losers. Some guys who have gone up, in my mind, and some guys who have gone down, right? Let's start with somebody who is in the losing category here. Deontay Johnson. I think, me personally, I'm over the Deontay Johnson experience, and I'm over the Deontay Johnson experiment. When you go to camp, there are times where Deontay Johnson looks super talented. He looks locked in. He looks like he cares. But, man, in these preseason games, I'm looking at somebody who just doesn't care. Too many mistakes made by him, not even mistakes. Too many plays on tape from him this week and last week that make me question his effort. And for a guy like Deontay Johnson, who's already dealing with massive concerns about how locked in is he, how much of a team guy he is, this is stuff that can't happen in this situation. He talks about understanding the moment and knowing that this is his last opportunity. This tape for the preseason, these last 2 weeks, it doesn't look like he understands that, quite frankly. The tape from last week was not just bad, it was atrocious. It was god-awful. It was dog duke. It was terrible tape. He was bad. He looked awful. And remember, this guy is a former all-pro wide receiver. He knows how to play football. He's not some rookie that's coming up from playing in the Big 12 to now trying to make it happen in the NFL. He's not some young guy. He's a 28, 29-year-old veteran wide receiver that's been a all-pro caliber player before. And he's running routes that look like garbage on a consistent basis. He's blocking. I would even call what he's doing is blocking. He's not even blocking on run plays or screens, and he's causing TFLs because of that. And then what he did today in this game, I thought was like the final one. You know what I mean? Go watch, if you really want to know how bad Deontay Johnson was, and also Tevin Jenkins were in that first game, go watch QB Film School's breakdown of Shadour's first game. I think JT O'Sullivan did a great job outlining specifically why these routes were bad. But go watch that. It doesn't look like a player who cares. When you're running one of the most basic play action concepts, right? High, low, flat. When you're running one of the most basic play action concepts and you can't run that one properly, it's not because you don't know better. It's because you're not being better. Running that play, that route the way he did, I mean, there's got to be an explanation. Either he did not know what the play call was, but it doesn't seem like from his route he didn't know it seemed like he knew what the play call was. He just scramble drilled right to the ball for whatever reason, even though it's a design rollout. It is a concerning demonstration of not being locked in from Deontay Johnson. And I don't think this team can deal with that. You know, I don't think this team needs that. So I would put Deontay Johnson in the losing category. The other player I would put here, and I hate to do it because I think he's a nice guy, but I can't ignore it anymore. You got to put Cam Mitchell here, man. There's no justification to not put Cam Mitchell here. He absolutely 1,000% belongs in this category. He looks like the worst corner the Cleveland Browns have right now. I'm not even joking. I'm not even being hyperbolic. He's getting destroyed in practice, not by just Gage Larvin, not just by Luke Floria. He's getting destroyed by guys who got cut already. And then you watch him in joint practice, and then the same bottom of the roster guys for the Carolina Panthers are cooking him. And then you watch him in this game, and he couldn't do anything. He couldn't guard a single thing out there. He had one play in the fourth quarter of this preseason game, but like he couldn't do anything with anybody. I cannot believe he's going to be the starting slot. If he's your starting slot, you're going to have a lot of issues. I don't know what's going on with him. Maybe he's playing injured. There's got to be something up. There's no way he's actually this bad. But man, it was not good. It was not good from Cam Mitchell. It was an awful game from Cam Mitchell. And I will put Cam Mitchell squarely in the losing category. And I'm honestly at the point to where I don't even want to see him get snaps with the first team defense anymore in the slot. I want to see what Nick Needham looks like. I want to see what Tony Brown looks like in there. Give me somebody else in the slot because it can't be him. It absolutely cannot be him. He's not ready for it. He's just not ready for it. I don't know if you cut him, but it can't be him. Got to put him in the losing category. The next guy who's going to be cautiously in the losing category because there was a giant red flag for him today is Dewand Jones. Now, Dewand Jones didn't play bad today, but the fact that Dewand was in the game in the preseason when all the other starters aren't playing, that's massively concerning. I did some digging. I think the working theory from those who have been at practice every day is that Dewand Jones has just not been looking great at left tackle during camp, and they want to just give him more reps at left tackle. Unfortunately, your backup plan, you lost him in this game. Cornelius Lucas left this game early with the injury. Hopefully it's not major. But, when they were talking about the offensive line was holding its own in Philadelphia's practice, I was pretty encouraged by that. But then you see Dewand Jones out there, and it's like, oh, well, maybe 4 of the offensive linemen were holding their own, but maybe not Dewand. That's concerning. That's concerning. I can't really hide that one anymore. So those are my 3 guys I'm going to put in the losing category. Let's talk about guys who I thought went out there and won in this preseason game, right? So we talked about Dylan. We talked about Shedeur last week. I think these last 2 weeks have been win column for both those quarterbacks. I think it's also been win column for Joe Flacco. But just thinking about that right now makes me actually want to walk back to the losing column because there's another guy I want to add to the losing column. He didn't play this week, but it's Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett has emerged as the obvious guy to be the odd man out. So I would put him firmly in the losing column. It's not good for Kenny Pickett that Dylan looks good in this offense and it looks like you could play him. It's not good that Shedeur looks promising for Kenny Pickett, and it's not good that Joe Flacco looks promising for the Browns. So what's the point of having Kenny Pickett? So, yeah, I think Kenny is in a tough spot here. He got injured. It's cost him a lot of opportunities, but let's face it here. This is the guy you needed to see the most in training camp, and unfortunately, he's the guy who got to play the least. And in his absence, Dylan has stepped up and looked good. Shedeur has stepped up and looked good. Joe Flacco has stepped up and looked good. But where does that exactly leave Kenny Pickett? Probably on the cutting room floor. So add Kenny Pickett there to the losing list. Now we can jump to the winners. Jamari Thrash. Look, he's winning as much as Deontay Johnson is losing. It takes me all the way back to, what was it? It was OTAs, where Deontay Johnson didn't show up to OTAs, which was the first red flag. And it was Jamari Thrash out there taking his reps. And all you heard was Jamari Thrash looks pretty good. And then you get to training camp and you're seeing it. Jamari Thrash looks good. And in 2 preseason games in, Jamari Thrash looks pretty good. Jamari Thrash looks good. Deontay Johnson looks bad. The team just signed Isaiah Bond. You do the math there. But it's nice to see Jamari Thrash look good. You know, it looks like he might be able to, you know, maybe not get a ton of targets this year, but take some targets. I thought Cedric Tillman looked good today too. So that's really good. But yeah, Jamari Thrash, if he could look good, that makes you feel so much better about this wide receiver room. And he's looked good throughout camp, throughout the preseason games. This is a continuation of it. And, you know, I was very high on Jamari Thrash when the Browns drafted him last year. I think a lot of people had expectations that he would play in year one. I did not have expectations he would play in year one. So I think some people might have cooled off on him. But Jamari Thrash looks like his development's going as planned. And I'd be very encouraged with what you're seeing out of Jamari. You know, so there's that, right? So Jamari Thrash, I would put him in the positive category. The Browns' run game, second week in a row, it's looked pretty good. Now, again, it's the preseason. You're not going up against, you know, game plans, and it's not even your first team out there, so take it with a massive grain of salt. But the Browns' run game for a second week in a row was very productive for them. I'm very encouraged. Hopefully this means that the Browns' run game will be productive. But if we look at the team stats here, Browns this week, with 331 total yards of offense, it's pretty good. Considering that the Philadelphia Eagles, that can't be right. That can't be right. The Philadelphia Eagles only had 88 yards of total offense. I mean, we're going to put the defense in the winner category in just a second here. But yeah, the Browns had 132 yards in the run game and I think that's over 100 the last 2 weeks. That's very encouraging. They've been looking like they've been able to get done what they want to in the run game. And I'm very, very excited about that. And even like in the passing game, right, they were pretty solid there as well. Offensive line, I thought, held up really well, even the second team unit. It's just some questions you have about like Dewand, right? Like, how's he actually looking? Because it's not been great, what you've been hearing. But yeah, the run game looks alive so far. And again, it's the preseason, you can't tell, but last year when the run game looked terrible, it ended up being a precursor to much worse things going on with the team. So run game looks good. That's a very good thing. But let's talk about the flip side of that. The Browns defense, you're going to put them in the winning category. They look like they are, in fact, that Browns defense again. And again, we haven't seen Miles. We haven't seen Mike Hall. We've only seen Mason Graham a tiny bit. But what we've seen of the Browns defense has been extremely impressive. They gave up only 88 total yards in this game against the Philadelphia Eagles. And this is a Philadelphia Eagles team whose second and third team units absolutely shredded the Cincinnati Bengals starting and backup units last week. So it's not nothing. It's something there. I wouldn't say it's everything, but it's something. I think there's something to take away from that. There is also the fact that the defensive line looks really, really solid right now. Isaiah McGuire had a nice pass rush. I thought that there was a nice rush from Joe Tryon-Shoyinka as well. Like, this defensive line looks as advertised. It looks like they're going to have depth, guys to throw in there. That's why I'm really worried about slot corner, because, like, I just want to plug that hole so it's not that big of a deal, right? But really, really impressed with what we've seen from the front seven of this team, and especially encouraged with that. So have to put the Browns defense in that whole winner category. Are there any other winners that I'm missing here? I think I got all the losers. I think I got all the winners too. Jamari Thrash. Oh, Gage Laverdon. He's making an argument to make the team. I don't know how he's going to make the team because he can't. They're keeping Dwayne Carter as the punt return, kick return guy. But, man, Gage looks good out there returning kicks and punts. I imagine he's going to be priority practice squad, but he's gonna have a job this fall for sure. Somebody's going to give him a job. He's earned that at least. But those are my winners and losers from this game as well. I think so far it's been a pretty good offseason for the Browns, a pretty good training camp, and a pretty good couple of games in the preseason. Again, winning in the preseason, it's not super valuable. The one time the Browns went 0-16, they won every game in the preseason. I think this is a little different, right? Because you're impressed with what you're seeing at the top of these games versus like caring about what's happening at the bottom. When the Browns went undefeated in the preseason, I believe they were doing a lot of that stuff in the back end. And they were also playing starters. Now, the Browns' 2017 starters weren't really good, but they were playing their starters a lot in the preseason. The Browns are 2-0 in the preseason without even playing their starters. So I think this is a lot different than like 2017, right, where they were trying to win in the preseason. So that's good. Anytime you keep score, you want to win, obviously. But I think this has been a good showing for the Cleveland Browns. It's been a good 3 weeks for them. Ultimately, you got to do it in the regular season or else none of this shit actually matters. But it's a good sign. It's a good step forward for this team. I thought Dylan Gabriel showed you some good stuff. The fact that we're now at the point, hopefully we get to see Quincy next week, but we're now at the point to where you can point to 5 of the 6 draft picks and say, I've seen something good from these guys. I've seen something encouraging. You've seen a lot of encouragement around Shador, a lot of encouragement around Dylan, a lot of encouraging things from Harold Fanin from practice. Obviously, Mason Graham, a lot of encouraging things there. Carson Schlesinger, Dylan Sampson. It's been a pretty encouraging training camp for all of these guys. And that's a really good sign here. So hopefully that trend continues next week as the Browns get into kind of a game week simulation week of practice, right? So I'd expect, you're not going to get a lot of snaps in practice from the rookies after this point, and probably not a lot of snaps in the game next week from the rookies after this point, right? It's going to start to get game planning, right? They're going to start game planning, have guys be scout team, all of that stuff, get that working as they get Joe Flacco prepared to start. That's another thing. This team all but confirmed that Joe Flacco is going to be the starter during this game. The team employees were pretty clear on that, so I'd be surprised if anything else happened. But that's what went down, the winners and losers of this game. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. But everybody have a great day. Have an even better night. You're watching on Bleacher Report. I appreciate you for watching on Bleacher Report. If you're watching on YouTube, I also appreciate you for watching on YouTube. But all of that being said, y'all have a great day. Have an even better night.